for. That's why you're attending Ignite right now. If you think of Ignite, Ignite is like the high school version, and you're in your freshman year. What'd you feel like in your freshman year of college or in high school? You were nervous. You're looking around at all the players, the big people, and you're comparing yourself to other people. You got to take a step back as an adult and recognize that I'm not like them, but as I'm not sure of the name, but going towards and having that as your objective. Pick a role model, pick a mentor, somebody that you're looking up to, and strive to be that person, and pick their brain. Ask them questions. How'd you get there? Because modeling is basically what Ignite is all about. With the models are there.
Yep. I agree totally. Yeah. And many new agents limit themselves a little bit. They come in and say, oh, I just want to do 3, or something. And we just don't want to do that. This is like Roger said, you are in the beginning stages of your career, but you don't have to wait 4 years to get going, right? Many, like they do, they limit themselves. They don't call this fear. They just hope business is going to come that way. I'll tell you right now, guys, business doesn't come your way. You have to go out and get it. Maybe you're not systematic or lead generating. Maybe people are learning. We get a lot of pushback on scripts. They don't want to learn their scripts because they think it sounds fake. But learning scripts really help you know what to say. I mean, yes, you learn the words and then you make them your words. Okay. You're not going to read and all of that. The more you do it, the more it'll come naturally to you. And just one thing on scripts. Why are they helpful? It's not written down anywhere, but why do scripts make it helpful for you? Who has the answer to that?
It helps you redirect back to the conversation. It kind of keeps you focused on moving forward in the direction you want to go, because it's very easy when you're winging it to get sidetracked and go to left field. And this kind of helps you bring it back around to real estate and what your goal is.
Yeah. That's one thing. You're not winging it, because the purpose of these scripts is to move the conversation forward. Otherwise, you're getting lost and you're talking about kids and Netflix and all of that. What's another reason of really learning these scripts and knowing them?
Get you more comfortable with the conversation.
Makes you comfortable with the conversation. You don't, a lot of people don't call their sphere and don't talk at a cookout, or it's because they have a fear. They don't know what to say. So if you learn one thing out of this Ignite, learn those 6 scripts. Is one more thing I'm going for when you know what you're saying.
They respect you and take you more serious.
Yeah. They think you know what you're talking about a little bit. Remember, they don't know that you don't know, but that's not really I want somebody to get there.
I was going to throw in handling objections.
Yeah, it helps you handle objections if you know what you're talking about. You've read the script, you know how to banter back and forth and make sure you're moving the conversation in the right direction. One more.
Right. There's someone who might not know you. That, I mean, they might, yeah.
Yeah.
More confidence in what you're saying.
Confidence. Yep. Love it.
For me, it helps give me an idea. What should I talk about? What should I say after? Gives me an idea better, because before I didn't know how to start. If it's with friends, I know, but if it's with just calling random people, I actually don't know. Right. So it gives me a little comfortable to start with the conversation.
Right. I'm going to give it to you. Knowing your script, and thank you, Lourdes, that's exactly right, because people they're afraid they don't know what they're talking about and people will judge them. And again, most people so let's learn them. The reason why you need to know scripts is so you can listen at a higher level. When you're in real estate, if you don't listen, you might as well just pack up your thing and go, because real estate is about listening to people, bringing value. It isn't about all of what you can do and all how great you are and how fabulous you are at making designs on command. They want to know, you need to listen to what they want. That, they want you to know that you have command of the process, of how to do a deal. the product, the homes and all of that, and the promotion of it all. And you need to be able to listen. And when you know what to say, because these scripts are short, just buzz through them, learn them. Now you're really listening to people, and that's where your value comes, because people do not care what you know until they know that you care about them, right? So that's kind of where you want to be. We got off on a little tangent, but it is really all about learning your craft. And, you know, in the piece of calling random people, I think Lourdes says, let's not call random people. Let's talk to people we know. They like you, they know you, they trust you, and they're the ones you're more likely going to do business with. So what, how, and who, right? Let's see where we're at. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, envisioning your big life. Okay. Now, does everybody have their little booklet with envisioning your big life? With this little thing?
In the participant guide.
It's in the participant guide. Basically, you make a little circle in the middle with a dollar amount, and one, you know, these little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little boxes around it. You can just do it on a piece of paper. Okay.
Yeah, so what that is, right, Deb, it's an exercise. And what we're doing is we're identifying some smaller goals on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Okay, with dollar amounts and things that, you know, pay off a student loan, you know, could be buy a new car, create a down payment on a house, could be family vacation. Those are just some ideas. And you don't have to fill all of them, or you could have more. And then you're going to take all those totals and total them up. And then that's going to be your bullseye center number, i.e. your target, i.e. your income goal that you want to generate through your real estate business.
Right. So that's exactly right, Roger. So let's kind of look at this activity and take a couple of minutes and go around, make a little thing. You're on page 3 of your participant guide, or just simply take a piece of paper, and on each of these 5 rectangles, write a person or cause that you care about. Like Roger said, it can be a trip to Hawaii. It can be a new living room set. It could be paying off your car. Let's take a few minutes.
You can go ahead and type them in the chat too, and Colleen will read some out loud. That way they're, you know,
let's put
sharing
some
and giving
things
your
in.
other people ideas.
Right, write a person or cause in that box. So let's do that for about 2 or 3, you know, a minute or so, and dig deep a little bit.
Yep.
What are the things in your life you really want to do?
Yeah. Some of you might want to invest in real estate.
Take care of your parents.
Yeah.
College.
College fund. Yeah, there you go.
Animal shelter, food bank.
Yeah.
You know, it's not always everything about, you know, is there anything that you might want to say, I want to put $5 grand a year into some food bank, or 2, you know?
Or you can be selfish. It could be your personal savings, you know, you're towards your retirement funds. You know?
Yeah, think about that. Do that early, guys, you younger people on the group. Start that right now.
Martin says college fund, travel, and investments.
Love it.
Awesome.
And put a dollar amount in that box.
Right. What would that college fund be? How much does it cost to put a child through college over 4 years?
Ooh.
Can be frightening, yes. But you'd put that number in there, and then you're going to solve for, well, how much do I have to make a year to get to that goal?
Yeah.
Over the next
Invest in grandchildren's future.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
And lots of money, lots of dollar signs.
Good. So when
Dollar signs are good, but numbers have to follow those dollar signs.
Yeah, numbers. Thank you, Colleen.
right. Yeah, commit to a number. Remember, this is a goal. You have to have some sort of measurable number there to understand if you've ever hit it, or even came near it, or surpassed it.
Question, they want to know, is this annual or cumulative?
So I would say annually for now for our exercise. But if you were setting a goal for the out 5 years, then you just take it out 5 years, and then you're just going to amortize it over the 5 years and break it down into smaller goals, annual goals.
Right.
So it's up to you. You could use it as a 5-year goal. I wouldn't go beyond 5 necessarily, but I would use it for annual for this exercise.
Right. And this is a good segue into, obviously, let's look at this, you know, your whole thing should be 2022. And then usually everywhere in the fall, we do a MRE, a business planning clinic, which kind of digs way deeper into this, which I'm going to recommend that you will all do. And also get back into your market center, talk to your productivity coach, talk to your TL, talk to one of the big shots in the office and say, what do you know, how do you look at your goals? What do you do? So what else do we have? What is everybody thinking about this exercise?
So why don't we all share now that we've got our outer perimeter numbers? Go ahead and tally up those numbers. And if you haven't filled every box, that's okay. You know, you might only have 3 or 4.
Yeah, right.
Tally them up and write that number in the middle, and it should just be a number. And if anybody wants to share on chat, go ahead and share on chat, or just come right off and let us know. So for this example, this person's got 364,000 annual income, or per year.
Yeah, nice.
So
Right,
who's got a
300 we have 363,000
nice?
in the chat.
What else? Who wants to just go for it? Who else?
160,000.
Not bad.
Go ahead and say them out loud, guys.
Is this also including like salary or just the extra stuff that we're?
So think of this way. This is a business oriented goal, right? This is going to be in your mind. It would be your annual salary. Yes.
Okay.
All right, we got
So in other words,
300,000. We
now
have
remember-
5 years for 5 million. Sorry, Roger, just wanted to throw
oh,
that
no,
one
it's
out
good.
there.
Did I hear 5 million in 5 years? So that would be
Yep.
$1 million a year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Thinking big. We like it. Who else?
So keep in mind too, now that this is going to be your financial goal per year, don't forget that if that just pays your bills, then you need to boost that up, because you want to live a life worth living. You want to have excess. So don't be afraid to tack another 50 grand on there.
Okay, we have a couple more questions.
Go ahead.
So this is our economic model, and the 364 is outside of costs. Those are the questions.
So this isn't
ahead.
your economic model per se. This is a goal setting exercise.
Yeah.
So your economic model is going to come later on.
Yeah.
When you break down your expenses and what it costs you to run a business.
Yeah.
But this is what you need to live the life that you're outlining on the outside perimeter.
Yeah.
To achieve all those smaller goals in desires that you have.
Yeah, once you get into the economic model, which thank you, Kim, for popping in the old economic model as part of the, models of every business. It's how much do I want to make and how much do I spend, whether I make a penny or not. And then you have expenses when you make money. So, you've got some things, and everybody should at the minimum know how much it costs to be a real estate agent every year. Anybody know that number? Just real quick, I'm not making any money yet, but what do I have to expend every year? Pop it in pop it in the chat.
Yeah, that would be the money to maintain your license, maintain your realtor dues, maintain your MLS subscription.
Expenses, straight expenses.
Things you're going to spend, whether or not you do anything or not.
How many sales required to reach 100,000?
That's what we're solving for. That's coming up.
Right.
Yeah. So
Nice. Ooh, a car for me? Nice.
So remember this number now, moving forward, because you're
Yeah,
going to carry
moving
this number
forward.
to the next exercise. So
Right.
if your goal is to make $500,000 in a year, that's the number you're going to pull forward.
Right.
We're going to give you an example coming up to show you how to solve for that. How
Right.
many units sold? How many houses do you have to sell to make that goal?
Exactly. And you want to kind of have a little sense of how much a property is in your, in your market center. What is your medium price thing in your market center? Anyone know real quick what hopefully everybody knows that. In our office, it's about 400,000.
Yep, and our office is about the same, but it can move up and down town to town, of course.
Mhm.
Colleen, you're in Mansfield, Mass. What's your average sale price of a home?
Like around 500.
Yeah.
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 I think unless you're really in the city or really out west, we're all hovering, I think, at about the 4.
Yeah.
So let's look at our little dollar bill here, our George Washington. The first thing you need to understand is how your commission works. We want to make sure you guys have a super grasp on your commission. Everyone goes, ooh, we're making 5%. Well, guess what? You walk in the office with it, but they take it away from you. So we have to make sure that we fully understand it. Many new agents get the check on their first closing and pocket it all. And then they get in trouble down the line. Let's talk about where money goes and how much we actually be going to the goal. Oops.
How much we're gonna retain after we pay expenses,
Right.
taxes.
So
Yep.
let's look at this thing. So first of all, we've got a little line right down the middle of that. First, if you're on the seller side of the transaction, half of the commission amount goes to the buyer agent. The same is true. So basically, you get a commission, half and half. So half of it goes to another office and half of it goes to your office. Everybody kind of understand that? Now you've got a half that you're walking back to the office, handing it to your MCA. What's this next thing go to?
We gotta pay our market center and our
Gotta pay
royalty.
30% to the market center, right? Everybody nationally pretty much want a 70-30 split. So if you take a $400,000 home and you are getting, used to be 6%, let's say 5% commission, 2.5 comes into your office. Right off the bat, 30% goes to the market
Market.
center towards your capping, right? And then there always is that little 6% royalty fee. So we won't get in the weeds on that, but in general, we're going to get 30% that's going to go to market center. What's the next 30% go to?
What do we all pay at the end of the month when they all come in
Got
the mail?
taxes in the chat.
What's that?
Betcha.
Taxes are
Yep.
is in the chat.
You betcha. Taxes. See you later. 30%. So that hurts. Hey, but you got to do it, And what's the next third go to? You guys. All right, that's yours. Yep, that's awesome. I'm gonna run to Home Goods and all that. But what you want to do, obviously, you get your share, you get your third. And we want to make sure that first of all, you want to be religious about putting money away, and it can be a little funny thing when you first come into real estate. Many people have worked at a company forever and they were on a W-2. You are now a 1099 independent contractor. You have to put 30% away and you have to pay quarterlies on your taxes as a self-employed person. I know it's hard when you get your first check because you feel like, oh, but get right in the beginning, make sure you're taking control of that situation and putting taxes away. And, obviously we won't go into it, but you need your own, business account and everything has to be separate and all that good stuff. Right. And let's make sure we do that. And obviously that 30% is going to cover, your bills, your phone, your car. You're going to start investing back into your business. Most top agents, they take that 30% and they plow it right back into their business with things. So what do we think about that? Let's have some comments on that.
What would be your takeaway from when you get a $10,000 check from a sale of a home? What are you going to do with that $10,000? You're going to take a certain, let's pretend like that's your income after your market center took theirs, after, they took the 6% off of the royalty. Now you've got a $10,000 check and you deposit it right into your checking account. What's likely to happen to that money if you don't account for it and separate and pull out your taxes?
You're gonna spend it.
Right. A lot of people do spend it, and that's where Deb was alluding to earlier. And then at the end of the year, all of a sudden you've got a tax bill that gets slapped on your desk, and you find out you own the government, because you've had several sales. You owe the government now $15,000 or $20,000 in taxes.
Yep.
And you look at your checking account and go, but there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you spent money that's not yours. So I used to run a restaurant, and we used to, run a bar business and everything, and people be spending their money. The cash was coming over the bar and what have you. And people go, oh, you guys are making a killing. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Look at all this money you made on this Friday night or Saturday night. I go, yeah, that's nice. But I'm lucky if I'm going to hold 10% of that is income.
Yeah.
So 10 cents out of every dollar might make it towards profit.
Right.
Everything
So-
else being eroded.
Absolutely. So I like what you said, Roger, that 30% is not your money to spend. So, as new agents, what we want to do is make sure you don't get behind and get into bad habits. Like many of us who have been, we can all, if you ask 20 people in your office, 15 of them will say they've done that thing. Oh, I never did. I never paid my taxes. And so let's make sure we do that. Let's just make sure we get ahead of the game. What we're trying to do is get you to run your real estate job as a business. It's Roger King Real Estate. It's Debbie Courtney Real Estate. It's a business. Just as if it's Debbie Courtney Plumbing and Heating. You've got to run your real estate like a business. So let's just review this. Like, we kind of verbally went through it, but let's look at it just one more time. This calculation on the screen is for a $300,000 sale price. And the average gross is about $9,000 to the office. Okay.
So in that example, they're using 3% as the fee, the realtor fee.
All right, so we got
3%
$9,000 coming in, right? The market center dollar is, now this one is a 27 market center. Every market center has a different company cap. But most everybody has I think royalty is 6% across the board, correct?
Yep, 6% for KWRI, which is right there underneath it. And then for my example that we have, our GCI percentage is 30%. And then we cap at 21,000 for our market center. And in this example, they're capping at 27,000. So you check with your market center if you don't know it. And then the one right underneath it, there's your cap for your GCI it's 6% for the royalty, which caps at $3,000.
Yeah.
And they're bringing it over. And then you add the two of them up, and then your gross cap amount is $30,000. In my office, our gross cap amount is $24,000. 21,000 plus the 3,000 is always consistent there with Keller Williams International.
Okay, yeah, and our office, by the way, is 25 for capping and 3 for royalties. And we all know the royalty, as soon as you get to 3,000 in royalties, which can happen quickly, that goes away, and then you'll be working on your regular cap.
Yep.
So these are just numbers that we need to know. So let's say we want to do, okay, did anybody have any questions on that so far? Just so we don't, this is something you might want to revisit because it's kind of clunky, but is everybody okay with that? Understanding that? Questions?
Who knows what their cap amount is? Put it in the chat box for their market center. And then obviously for your KWRI, which is the royalty is 6%. That's going to be universal for everybody in Keller Williams.
Put it in the chat.
Throw it in the chat.
We want to make sure everybody has a pretty good understanding of that. And if you don't know what it is, you find that out today. And you probably were told, and I've explained to you, during intake, but it's still, So if we're going to do a mathematical equation, we want to make sure you're looking at the right numbers. Okay. So we've got our example here. Now this is where we talk about goals. Okay. Right.
Yeah. Going back to that page with the thing with the boxes around and the center goal.
Oh, hey, hold on.
That was your net income or your income goal.
Where am I going? This guy here. That's your net income goal.
Yep. So if your number was 500,000, 250,000, that's the number we're solving. We're using.
All right. So here is a transaction goal. And somebody said, how many transactions do you need to make 100,000? I don't know who had asked that question, but this is exactly how you do it. Now, remember, this is calculated with a market center that their cap and royalty is 30 grand,
Right.
right?
Yep, we're using the example from the slide prior.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal in this case is $100,000 worth of income for us, for our business. And then number B is the $30,000 coming from the slide prior. We're popping that in there. And then for this example, and you can use the same example when you're doing your numbers up above might be a little different. This example is using $50,000 as their expenses, including salaries, licensing fees, anything associated with, paying for signs and things like that. Phone, gas, mileage in the car might be $50,000. And then you're taking all those numbers and adding them up to find out what you would have to generate in gross commission income, GCI, of $180,000 to make the $100,000 net.
Right. So do you think, Roger, that 50 is high for expenses for a fairly new agent?
Yep, for a new agent, I estimate for mine. So I estimate to have your license, somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 to have your license.
$2 grand.
And,
Yep.
yeah, $2 grand's easy number, right? And that includes your market center tech fee and stuff like that. So 2,000, and then I add another, maybe 4,500 or $5,000 at the most for a new agent. The good news there is it's an estimate. If you don't sell a house, well, then obviously you're not going to spend all that money. But if you're selling a few houses, you're going to have marketing. You're going to be taking photos on listings. You're going to be driving people around in cars if you're working with buyers, and burning gas, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
So
going to have.
do you think for a brand new person, 5,000 is realistic or not enough?
I mean, if you sell 1 or 2 houses, you might spend $5 grand, or less.
10?
But if you sell 6 to 8 houses, you're probably going to spend $5 grand and a little more.
Yeah. So on page 5 of the of our booklet is this thing blank. So if you don't have your facilitator package, you simply take a piece of paper and you put net income. I want to make 100. You got to put your royalty cap in, throw that in, your business expenses, then you add them all up to say, how much do I really have to make to net 100,000? And then you basically take your average price of a commission for your market center and divide it, and that's how many for this particular person to net 100,000. They have to bring in 180 to the market center into the whole world, and then they will net out 100, and then so basically they have to sell 20 houses.
Yeah. So all they're doing there is they're taking the 180 divided by the $9,000 average gross commission income per transaction. And if you divide 9,000 into that 180, you're going to get 20. So 20 homes sold with this example.
So that's about not even 2 houses a month.
Right.
How does that sound for everybody? What are you guys thinking?
So who can go ahead and read their numbers? If you came up some numbers, let's work one.
Let's see some numbers, right? Oops, I see something new.
So
Can
who wants
you
to?
explain the company dollar and royalty cap?
Okay.
I got confused.
So the company dollar in royalty cap. So the royalty cap is what's going to be paid to Keller Williams. The
Right.
company dollar, yep, the big franchise to Gary Keller, for lack of a better explanation. So that's going to be paid as a cap, and it stops at $3,000. After $3,000, you retain 100% of that.
Okay.
Same thing happens with the market center cap. In this example, their market center cap is $27,000. After $27,000 of company dollar paid in from you, it stops and you retain 100% after that.
Okay. So for our office, it's 28 total, 25 plus the 3.
Yes,
And it's
So-
per year,
per year.
Yep.
per
Right,
year. It always resets.
Yep, and it starts on your anniversary of when you started with Keller Williams. It's not a calendar year. So if you start in this, March, then from March to March is your calendar year.
Okay. Yeah, I was more confused about up above, trying to use the numbers up above that said your market center fees cap.
Okay,
GCI.
so why don't we work your problem, right? What's your average sale price in your area?
400.
400, perfect. That's the same one I got right here. So your number will be 400. Your average commission is 2.5, I'm assuming, right?
yeah,
So that will be a $10,000 GCI,
correct.
okay? What is your cap in your market center?
Oh, I see. Okay. I was
It's-
confused about this. 25.
Okay, so that's 25 there. Your cap for your royalty is 6%, which is 3,000.
Right.
So now you're at 28. In this example, they're showing 27.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're on the next page. Now we're saying, now I'm going to ask you, go ahead and share, what's the number that you put in as your goal, your net income in your pocket?
Well, income, I put 200,000.
Okay, so that top number will be 200,000. Your next number down where they have 30,000, yours is 28, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yep.
Okay, now the expenses, that's what Deb and we were talking about, what's reasonable for you to make 200,000, your expenses, let's just use this example to make it simple, is going to be about 50,000. That's buying signs, taking photographs, throwing broker lunches, whatever, taking clients out to dinner and marketing yourself, postage, all that stuff.
Gas,
Phone bill. Those are
car
all your
payment,
expenses. Yep.
insurance, all of
Okay.
it.
Yep.
All right, so let's continue. So we've got business, let's throw in, if you want to make 200, you're going to be spending 50, right? So now what's the number there on line D, Deb?
I gotta get my calculator.
So you're gonna
Yeah.
do
So
Be careful.
adding
200 plus your cap of 28 is 228
Yeah,
plus the 50. That's 278, correct?
Yep.
yep,
So that's your solve. Instead of 180, you've got 278 there.
yeah,
And then your average was $10,000 for your GCI.
yeah.
So divide 10,000 into your 278, I think it was.
Yep.
What's that number equal?
27.
Yep.
So that's your goal, to sell
Yeah.
27 homes at an average sale price of $400,000 with an average commission of 2.5% and an average GCI per transaction of $10,000. You have to sell 20, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
But it can be confusing.
Right.
Simple on
but
paper.
Once you do this exercise, you'll do it quarterly, you'll do it all the time. And I'm telling you, the math works, and it's all about your goal, your understanding your company dollar and royalty, your expenses, and you want to be meticulous about keeping track of your expenses, and everyone, so that really as you move forward, you become very much an expert at how to work these things, keep a really good eye on your average GCI, are things going up, or things going down? And then you just have your annual goal. So you've got 27. So to how many per month?
And remember too, as well here, you guys being new, you're not going to know until you get a good year under your belt and have that history behind you to really know your numbers. So you're using some assumptions, using some guesstimation,
Mhm.
using some rule of thumb here. And you're also going to have some component here of bookkeeping and be talking to an accountant at the end of the year to do your simple taxes, the old, W-4 and all that. You're going to have an accountant probably do your taxes for the first year to make sure you're taking advantage of the tax write-offs and to make sure you're not doing anything wrong or illegal.
I agree 100%. So Math is never fun. I mean, some people love math, but in general, it's not what we do. We want to run around, talk to people, sell houses, and that's cool. So have somebody in your world that knows this stuff. You can have a QuickBooks thing that keeps track of it. Some people have an Excel sheet. I do have the MREA one that kind of says photography and how much you should be spending on marketing and so on, but just get yourself a system. Again, we always talk about systems, and this is one of them. So questions, ahas, I'm sure we've got. What do we got? Let us know. Put it in the chat.
So now you've solved for what you've solved for is how many homes in your area specifically with your market center expenses specifically. So if anybody, why don't we put in our chat, how many homes do you have to sell next year, the next calendar year, so to speak?
Yeah.
Thinking about, we're setting this goal starting for January 1st. There's going to be a little ramp up to this, and what's that number look like for everybody?
20. All right. We got a 20, a 30.
Okay.
I
Good.
like the reverse engineering and breaking down goals. Wonderful, Heather. Thanks.
Yep.
16. I like these numbers. Who else?
I just got stuck for the letter E. That when I got to that, I don't know where to put it.
Do you
The
know
letter
the
E?
average median price of your house sales in your market center?
Yeah, I don't know.
Where are you at? What market center? What town?
It's Cranston. Yeah,
Cranston,
I
Rhode
think
Island?
I'm at 184. The market center.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Anybody know Cranston area? How much?
I would
I
think
would-
it's
Rhode
probably
Island.
around the 250, right, Roger?
It's about 300.
Yeah, I would say
Rhode Island.
All right,
Probably.
Carol says 300. So let's use 300. And that's the one on the sample. So it's 9,000.
That's if you're
Lawrence.
getting a 3% commission. If you're
Yeah.
getting 2.5, then it's 7,500.
Does it depend on if you sell one home for, if you sell a home for 2 million, Christine, yes, it helps. Then you don't need as many.
Right, you basically, you're almost there.
Right. And if you sell a $2 million home, remember your next one might be 250. So it's averaging for sure. So what else do we have for annual transaction goals? And remember, they're buyers and sellers. It's not just one side.
Shouldn't
Like
we be
these
using, shouldn't we be using an average home price for like a region rather than, I mean, we keep asking about a town, but for example, I'm in Arlington and the home prices are double what they are 2 towns away.
Well, yeah, that's why you want to go by your market center median price. and you can
Okay,
get
so it's the
that
market
from-
center median price, right?
I'm saying I'm over in Westford, so I'm thinking Arlington is certainly higher than 400. You might be at 6. So
I think
your
it's-
math is going to be different, but your cap is maybe higher. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a
It's
good
30.
question. And that's why we're
It's
saying
30.
you're using an average. So if you're considering that in your average, so you might sell one over 2 towns over for 800,000, and you might sell one in your own town that's only 400,000. So your average would be 6.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Scott?
Yep, sure. I was just checking for this exercise what we were going for, but yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Again,
you know,
you
let's-
don't have any history here to go by. Next year, when you've been doing this for a year,
Mhm.
you'll have history and you'll say, oh, my average was A,
Right.
and that would be the number. Then you'd recalculate it
Mhm.
and make your adjustments accordingly.
Yeah. And see how it went. You might double it up. Who knows?
And you can, and you'll revisit goal setting
Oh,
at least twice a year, if not 4 times a year. Every quarter, you should be reassessing where my garbage in, garbage out, were my numbers accurate? No, I was more like this, or I was actually a little higher than my average. So you might
Mhm.
recalculate it then. And you'll be making these calculations in your head, to be quite honest with you. It's
Yeah,
not.
you will. This is all gonna be, yeah. And I know I'm not a big math person. I'm not really I like just running around talking, selling real estate. So, but you have to have this piece. It's like compliance. It's not fun, but you have to do it and it has to be, and I see Lucretia needs 3 sales to maintain, so 13 sales. So, that's one a month. Back in the day, you wanted to have 2 listings and 1 buyer every month to maintain. So this is just a good little number. So any more questions on that? I feel like we have more questions.
Who feels lost, if anything?
I still feel a little bit lost. If you could just repeat the steps. I have the beginning of my numbers. I just cannot finish the numbers.
Okay, so what are your numbers? We'll work this one more problem.
That's one more problem. Right, good. Thanks,
We'll move
Roger.
on. Yep.
Okay, so my net income goal will be 200,000.
So 200,000.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your top number there. If we're looking at letter A, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your cap in your office?
In my office, it's 18,000.
18,000. Does that include your royalty?
Yeah, the pattern royalty, that's one thing I don't understand too. I'm sorry.
So the royalty's going to be $3,000, and it may be included in your 18. I just don't know. So let's just use 18 for your example. So 18,000 becomes letter B.
Okay.
Okay. You're only trying to make $100,000. Where for our purposes, we're just going to use the 50,000 for the example. Your expenses would probably be less.
Okay.
Okay. Now you're going to add A, B, and C to equal D. That's
So A, B, C,
260,000.
okay.
So your D is 268,000. You see the math?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, what's your average commission per transaction? So,
I don't know.
okay, so what's your average sale price? You were in Cranston, right?
Yes.
Okay, so your average sale price, we all agreed, was around 300,000 for the example.
Okay.
Okay, you're making 2.5% on that 300,000, which would be $7,500 per unit sold, per house sold. So I want you to divide 7,500 into 268. Divided by 7,500,
What's that number?
35.7. And if anybody else wants to check that math for me, that'd be great. So that's telling us, or telling you, if those are your numbers, that you have to sell about 35 or 36 houses to get your $200,000 net income.
Oh, boy.
Okay, yeah,
Thank
right.
you.
So there you go. That's how this would help you in goal setting. Now you're nervous about that, which a lot of people might look and go, oh, how am I going to do that? Great question, right? So now you
Yes,
have a
it is.
goal. Now we're going to solve into it. And we're going to move on, and we're going to go into the 411 after this.
Right.
And decide how do we get to that goal now? So keep
Right.
that in mind. Okay.
So we
Thank
do
you.
have, just to
You're welcome.
reiterate, we have one question. Can you explain how we find our average GCI, which you just, first of all, GCI means gross closed income. It means what is the gross that comes into the market center from a sale. So just to be clear, you take the median price house and you calculate what the you're bringing into the office for commission. If you're selling something for 300 on the example, then it's 9,000 is your average gross commission coming into the market center.
And that's based off of a 3% commission.
Right.
So here's the question. If you sell a house for $400,000 and your commission is 2.5% coming to you into the market center, 2.5% times 400,000 equals $10,000, which is your gross commission income, or in Deb's case, gross closed income. Same thing, both synonymous.
Some people refer to it as the co-broke commission.
Yep.
Right?
We call it
MLS.
GCI.
Co-broke. That's the money that you are driving into the market center. Because it goes to them first.
Okay.
So,
And if you're working with a coach, your coach will help you with this. If you can sit down and have a meeting with your team leader to go over these things, they should, carve off some time, or any agent with some experience would be able to sit down and kind of help you with these numbers as well.
so what
Okay,
we're gonna
moving
do,
on.
we're gonna move, does any more questions on this? Then I have a suggestion. So any other questions on this? Does everybody have their number of how many houses they need to sell in a year?
Say yes or raise your hand in the chat box.
All right, so what we're gonna do, then I think, does anybody want to maybe take a break in a little bit, in 5-10 minutes? Maybe at 10:15 we'll take a break. So if you look, okay, so we did this whole math, okay? Basically, you need to know how much money you bring into the office and how many, you really want to know how many houses you need to sell. And again, buyers and sellers, it's not just one, it's everybody put together. So the exercise that's next, and you guys can do it if you want to, in Command, there's a little section called setting your goal. And you just take your little paper that you just made and get it in here. And we won't go through the exercise, but you can get all these, you can get all these, you put your goals in here just like you did on a piece of paper, and Command will watch as you do opportunities where you are in your dollar goal. The little thermometer goes around. So, talk to your tech person at your office, your market center tech person, and they can show you how to do it. I'm sure there's a video. It's pretty simple. You just basically fill in the blanks just like you just did on your sheet of paper. And you will always see that on the home page of your Command. So that's just a little second exercise about, what you want to do.
Right.
So I'd like to see if everybody would like to take about a 10-minute break, get a water, get a brain thing from your doing your math, and then we'll regroup maybe about 10:20, and we're going to start moving into some exercises. What do you think about that, Roger?
That's great. And Deb, I'll stay right here. If somebody wants to work their math, I'll stay with you for the next 10-15 minutes if you want to chat, and everybody else can go off and have their little break.
Okay, good. So we'll revisit about 10:20.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to run and make 10 calls.
Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks, Roger.
You're welcome. So if anybody has any questions on that math, I can work it through with you if you want.
Hey, Roger, can I have your email address? I want to send you a video that I think goes totally with today.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome. It's my first and last name. So it's Roger Ring, ROGER RING 82 @gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, where'd you find the video?
It's on TikTok, and it's kind of
Really?
it's an
Why? I'm not.
I
See, I'm a
know,
little
right?
older than that.
It's an interesting one because it's this woman. It's like, oh, what's not a popular opinion, and basically she comes on and she goes, nobody's coming to push you. You need to parent yourself.
Right.
You need to get up and do the things that you are uncomfortable to do to make you the best you. There's like no magic wand. You have to do it. So I thought that was kind of
right.
appropriate for
It
today.
goes with goal setting, right?
Right,
We can all set a
absolutely.
goal, and I can set a goal and not do anything to get there. Well, I'm not going to get there,
Right. It's cool. I'll send it to you now.
Yeah, send it to me. And if you want, you can paste it right in the chat for everybody. They can all go see it at their leisure.
Okay. So you really think that I'm not technically savvy? You're so sweet.
Uh,
I'll leave it up to you. How's that sound?
all right. Fair enough. How'd you do on your numbers? Were you able to solve your number problem, or?
I put my numbers in, and I have like a hefty goal.
Well,
But over a
what-
5-year period, I can see it happening over a 5-year period, like a 1 year.
you just hit the nail right in the head. When you look at a goal and it seems daunting or overwhelming, There's nothing wrong with spreading it out over 2 years.
Right,
Because especially when we're new. When we're new, we don't even know what to do or say. So for your,
Right.
in everybody's psychology is different. Some people will set that goal and they'll go after it. They won't even think about it. Some people will think about that goal and analyze that goal and question that goal. And there's nothing wrong with either one. Just the guy who's going to go after it's going to get there faster. But your mental process might be a little different. You might need to learn some things before you feel comfortable moving forward. You know, and that brings us around to the DISC profiles, you know, DISC, of understanding, you know, different types of personalities and how we're gonna accomplish certain things.
right.
But yeah, so what was
Absolutely.
your goal over 5 years?
Yeah, what was my goal?
Yeah,
Wait on, so my total number was 363.
363. Yeah.
Yep, so I did, sorry, I have to find the page with it on it.
That's okay.
I'm writing notes as I go, so.
So your income goal was 363,000.
Correct,
Right.
correct.
And you got that number from the exercise prior to that, which was the boxes and then the goal in the middle.
You got it. You got
Okay.
it. Oh,
So there you
geez,
go.
I don't
That's just the exit, but we can work this number. That's fine.
know. Okay,
so
so I
if-
did, so I did the 363 and then I said, you know, the company cap, I did the 30,000 because I just was like, I know it's like 24 to hit the cap for me.
Okay, so it's 24.
Yep. The business expense, we went with 50,000 just because I have like no idea.
Well, and for you to make 363,000, it's
Yeah.
more likely that you, so for example, and everybody would understand this, I would hope, that, listen, the more business I do, the more money I'm gonna have in expenses. So as my revenue accelerates and moves up, my expenses are gonna come up too, but you wanna, you know, you wanna maintain that margin. That's why we're considering it. You know, if my expenses go up double and my revenue only went up 0.25%, you know,
Right.
I did something wrong with my expenses. So that's what you're evaluating that, you know.
Yeah, that's,
You know, they're both going to go up and they should go up sequentially. You know, when I
Right.
take listings, I keep having to rephotograph. So those expenses are going to go up, but my income's going up exponentially because I'm getting another $10,000 commission check and I only spend maybe $700 in photos and things like that, or maybe $1,000. So my margin's $9,000. Now
Right.
my expenses, I write the $1,000 off in expenses towards that, you know, and this is over, you know, multiplied every time you do a sale. Then you're going to say, all right, I got to save that 30% of that $9,000 now. That's my net income there. And put that for taxes so I can pay that tax bill at the end of the year.
God
Now,
help
mind you,
us.
when I write all my expenses off, I might get some of that money back because I took advantage of some taxable, legal tax credits and things of that nature. So
Right.
now you've got only $6,000 left after that.
Right.
That's money that can go towards bills. You've got your taxes paid, you've paid the expenses out of it, but now you've got business expenses coming in another
Right.
30% of that $6,000 or that $9,000. So another 3,000 goes off and it's going to probably get eroded by expenses. So you're going to maintain and retain $3,000 out of every $10,000 transaction.
Right.
You know, at the end of the year, when you do all your taxes, that $3,000 will come up because you're gonna, but that's just a simple way of looking at it.
Right.
And that's
Right.
that's just business accounting. Revenue in, expenses out, profit left over.
Right.
But profit before taxes is not all my profit. I have to make sure I pay the taxes out of that profit, and then you get your net profit.
Right.
That's the money you can spend or blow. And then anybody would suggest that you take a percentage of that and save that for the rainy day fund, save that for retirement, or just save it because that's what you're using to pay off a house down the Cape or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for your input.
I sent you the video too.
Okay, thanks. Colleen Tweedy, you there?
I'm here.
Oh, how's it going?
It's good.
Yeah, was everybody in the chat kind of getting the math? I mean, I know some people get confused by it.
Yep, I just got yeses right down the board.
Good.
And I think Deb went off screen.
Yeah, she's probably making a couple of phone calls. She might have to make some phone calls. Next is, I believe, the 411's coming up.
Are we waiting for her?
Yeah, she'll be back in
Okay.
10 minutes. Well, 10 minutes from whenever we took the break.
Oh, I didn't realize we were on break. Sorry. I walked
Oh.
out of the room for a little bit.
You did? Oh,
Yeah, well, I had to go. I didn't finish getting dressed. So now I'm finished.
uh-huh. Okie dokie.
Well, she was also like reading the chat, so I didn't think you really needed me, so.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So the 411, you might be able to, if we get into it, you might be able to, don't be shy to come in and say, yeah, the 411, annual goal, broken down into monthly goal,
Mhm.
broken down into weekly tasks. So the annual goal now, guys, is 20 houses from our example.
Yeah.
How many houses you got to sell a month? Divided by 12, boom. Then you get into the 4-week tasks. Now, how many houses you got to sell a week? No, we're not going to solve for that. But what activities do we have to do to get there? And that might be where you can kind of chime in brainstorming, because they're going to be like, what do you mean activities? Well, that would be lead generation activities. How many open houses might you have to do to find that many leads? Those types of questions.
Yeah.
Or what lessons, what trainings do you need to do to understand how to write an offer? What trainings do you need to do how to take a listing? Those would be those day or weekly activities, that you'd be writing down on the bottom. And then the annual goal is not going to change, but once a year. Maybe you make an adjustment halfway through the year. And then the same with the monthly goals. They're not going to necessarily change, but those weekly activities are going to be changing as you're accomplishing trainings. Boom, done that. Took a training, didn't really get a lot out of it, didn't understand too much. You might want to take that same training again, just to sharpen your saw.
Mhm.
And you might, that might wind up back in your 411. Script
Right.
practice in the 411. Every week I attend 3 script practices a week, because what's that doing? Sharpening my saw.
Mhm.
Cool. Where you going at 11?
I have a hair appointment.
Oh
11:30.
my gosh. Oh my gosh.
My one priority every 6th Wednesday.
Yeah. And Mr. Butler is you say every 2 weeks, right?
It was every 2 weeks. Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Well, I mean, that's what the barbers used to do. The barbers used to clean guys up with the straight edge, and they'd trim, and these, every 2 weeks, basically. If you do it that often, you never need a haircut.
Right.
You just always cut,
Yeah.
a barber trims everything, and he sees a hair out of place or doesn't belong in a spot, he zips it off,
Right. Yeah, and then I have a few appointments this afternoon that I have to do, and then your call at 6. So
Good. Yeah, Lauren's come. I talked to her yesterday.
yeah, she said she's gonna call from the car because she's got a showing at 6:15.
Oh, cool. Good.
So yeah. So that will be good.
And Craig coming too, or how's she
I haven't
doing?
even talked to him since last week, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been crazy. And then I kind of shut off after the farmer's market. I just kind of shut off until Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything was settled,
Yep.
So.
And how many names have you guys been, and that's a good example, say, if the activities, what type of activities do you do? And you could say, well, I've figured out that I can do a farmer's market, and we've collected anywhere from, on a slow day, 6 names to 12 names.
Actually,
And I'm using those. That's how I'm filling up my database with some more names and collecting more names. And it's a local farmers market. So a lot of times, some of the people I'm familiar with, and I've bumped into people that I haven't seen for years. And it's been a wonderful, awesome experience. And I've been adding to my database, and we've been literally, believe it or not, finding leads.
I know, I'm actually looking up to see how many I've added just on my side, not because Lauren and I have shared them. So
Right.
Myself alone, I have, let's see, where is that tag?
And you're labeling them or tagging them in
So I
as
have them,
farmers markets?
I have them tagged under community event, which is already a tag that's in your lead source in command.
Yeah,
And then I can pull them all up, and I have added 26 people.
there you go. That's the
And
number.
that's only
In
from,
how many weeks have you been doing that? And we're assuming Lauren did 26.
yeah, so we split them. So we each got 26. So we have done it 3 weeks.
Yeah, so 3 weeks divided by 26 equals,
Yeah,
yeah. Look, we're collecting collectively between 7 and 8 on average every week.
right.
And of those, we've identified at least one lead almost every week each.
At
You know,
least one. At
I'm
least
just making things up, but
Right.
yeah. And that's what the activities that we kind of want to instruct on here, so
Yeah.
I'm getting that from doing just a farmer's market.
And also I'm getting downline leads as well.
You getting what?
Downline leads as well.
Okay,
So other people looking to join Keller Williams.
right.
Sorry, I missed the beginning of your conversation. Are you, I just heard farmer's market and lead. Are
Oh,
you at the farmer's market with Keller Williams, or do you have like a product that you sell on the side?
go ahead, Colleen. That's all you.
No, so I have a real estate, let's talk real estate booth that I put up under Colleen, it's Keller Williams, of course, but it's my real estate company, and I do it with a co-work. Yeah, she's also an agent in Mansfield in our market center, and the two of us, we just man a booth from 9 to 1 on Saturday mornings in our local town. We just happened to kind of get into this one because there weren't any real rules and restrictions based on things. So we have a contest, we have a raffle, we have mortgage information, we have market information, we have lots of giveaways, stuff for the kids, and it's just been hopping. And I was just saying to Roger, the two of us split the leads, so I take half, she takes half, and we've done 3 Saturdays, and I've added 26 people to my database. And out of those, there's about 4 or 5 leads that are interested in real estate.
Wow.
Great.
Right, we're either buying or selling, or becoming a real estate agent as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
nice.
so that's been really successful.
And Colleen, you didn't have to pay for anything. You didn't have to pay for the table space, right?
Right, this one's free
Yeah.
in the town. There are other events that sometimes you have to pay like $30 for a table spot or whatever, but as long as you can get in there, as long as their restrictions allow you in, it's a great way to get in front of people.
Right.
Especially
And
in
you
your
also
town.
move around. You don't just stand behind the table. You've moved around and introduced yourself to the other vendors and
Right,
things
I
like that.
have everyone's business card. Every week it's different because people come different weeks. So every week I walk around, I introduce myself, hand my business card, get their business card. So I now have all of those vendors as well. A lot of them will say like, oh my gosh, you're a real estate agent. Great. I'll let you know if I know anyone, Some of the other vendors there have really great crafts, which I actually purchase as closing gifts for my clients. And then I put their business card in it, as well, just to say, if you like this is something that you can order as well.
And what do we at marketing? Cross marketing, Colleen, right?
Right.
You're networking with other vendors, local vendors in the area,
Mhm.
and you're having conversations, and now they're recognizing you and you'll recognize them as well. And you're swapping digits.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
That's
we were
awesome.
talking, the reason we were talking about that is when we get into, the next exercise is going to be the 411,
Yeah.
where we're breaking down that big annual income goal, breaking it down into monthly goals to understand how many homes a month we have to sell. And then we get down into the 4 of the 411, which is 4 weekly goals or tasks or activities that will help us get us to that big annual goal. In Colleen's example, we were discussing was that she, part of her 411 was, I'm going to attend this local Mansfield farmers market, set up a booth and just do
it.
raffles and interact with the community and
Mhm.
And she's now adding names to her database. So that's just one little method of using the 411 as a tool. And now she knows over the next 4 weeks, attend, 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 and she's measuring her results by now having an understanding. I was able to get 26 names cumulatively over 3 weeks. And Lauren was able to get up around 26 names, and they both identified a few leads from that. So that's an actual activity you can measure that's going to help them achieve their goal. And who's to say, maybe 1 or 2 transactions come out of this over the next course of a year,
Right.
and that's just one lead source.
Exactly. So that's exactly where we're going, right, Raj? We're going into what are these activities that work for you, right? And Colleen has gotten 26 contacts, and I'm assuming those contacts have put her in their database. And it'll be interesting to see, of all those people, who do you hear from? What are their activities? And then you can see all of a sudden say, hey, I met you at the thing. Let's, who do we know that we know each other, that we can help each other? And that's where what is called networking, vendor relationships. And that is a super duper activity. So we're back on the program here. We're going to do the right activities, right? And we're going to talk about, we talk about this a lot. We see a lot of agents, particularly new ones, trying to do a lot of different things. And you have to it's like ordering a pizza. You can have a pizza with literally everything on it, but it's probably not going to be good. It's going to be messy. It's not, it's not right. What are the 3 toppings that what are your go-to 3 toppings, right? This is a weird analogy, but everybody knows pizza. Everybody knows what they like. And most people do not want everything because it's yucky. It falls, things fall off, and it's just not the same. So we're going to talk a little bit about what are the things that are going to be most effective for you. So has anybody ever heard of this 80-20 principle? Who's heard of the 20% 80-20 rule?
I have.
Yep. Tell us what it means, even though it's right on the screen.
So you want, basically the way I perceive it is that, if you're putting in more than 20% effort and getting less than 80% results, then you kind of have to reevaluate so that you are only putting in 20% effort and getting 80% results. So it's just a helpful tool to make sure that you're measuring yourself.
Right. Has anybody, and I'll pick on the restaurant industry, Roger, has anybody been to a restaurant and there's 2 servers flying around? They're getting millions of stuff done, breads going, things are going, and then there's 6 people standing at the soda machine, right? 20% of those servers are doing 80% of the work. And in theory, hopefully making 80% of the tips or whatever. So in 1940, I'll just read you this kind of cool thing. In 1940s, a quality control manager, Dr. Joseph Geron, documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to a vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work that Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as Geron's law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 rule, where 20% of what you do can result in 80% of your business. So you want to have 20% of your activities lead to the big thing. Colleen is going to her little farmer's market and she's, I don't know if it's little, and she's getting great results. So don't do 80 things when you could do 20, or you could, you know what I mean? And then we always want to be focusing on the big rocks, and what are the big rocks in your world that are going to get you the best results, right?
Right. For that example, one of Colleen's big rocks is to do her farmer's market because she's getting 80% of her results are coming from that, because she's getting 26 over the last 3 weeks. She's gotten 26 names to add to her database, several leads out of it.
Mhm.
So she's determined that that's worth my 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday,
Right.
as
That's-
opposed to doing a bunch of other things, chasing squirrels.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we want to do. We want to find out what is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything easier. You know, what is let's focus on something called our big rocks. And hold on, let me just scroll down here. Can anybody identify what is your own 20%?
So that the 20% in real estate is going to always come down to lead generation, because if we're not lead generating, we're not going out and getting and earning business.
Right. Yeah. So what is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything easier or unnecessary? Does anybody have something they could share on that one?
So as a new agent, one thing I can think of is go out there and volunteer to do other agents' open houses. That's going to get you in front of people who are actually out there thinking about buying or selling or investing in real estate.
Mhm.
That would be an example of a one thing that's going to get you great results.
Right. So we kind of have a little handle on our goals, right? We kind of know, all right, I got to do 27 in a year. How do I do that? What are the 3 things I need to do? You know, and then we're going to work through that. And then we're going to go through that exercise, right? So we go back to what successful agents do every day. Okay. We have to grow our business and we have to run our business, right? So here's the old 411, okay? Let me just see what we have here. So basically, we know right now, and everybody has their number, what your annual goal is. You know, you've got a dollar value / units, correct? Does that, so this 411 sheet, just if you're on your participants guide, it's on page 7. Okay. It's very simple too. You can almost, again, back with a piece of paper, your annual goals, a long line, best to put your dollar and your number of units. And then, you know, then what is it per month?
So taking the example that we had in our example earlier was 20. So your annual goal units sold would be 20. Then you divide that by 12, which would give you your monthly goal. And then you're coming down to the 4 weeks, which is the 4 of the 411. And you're deciding what activities on a weekly basis, and then break it down to daily basis, what activities do I have to do every week to get me to that annual goal of 20 transactions? And I use the example of volunteering for open houses of other agents who can't attend their open houses, and me going in there and interacting with all the leads that come in there. That would be one activity that's going to get me to that annual goal.
Right.
But
And
it's
remember,
not the only one, but that's one.
And remember, we have our big vision there, that big vision with the little blocks. Who are we working for? Remember, we have a goal. It wasn't just a number thing. We have cars we want to buy. You know, always refer back to your big thing. Why am I doing this? Kids and the grandkids and all of what you are going to do. So you want to figure out what activities you need to do to get these things. And if you really wanted to use this at a very high level, it says yearly goals, monthly goals, which is, you know, your whatever divided, and you should have one for every month. This is essentially your calendar. So we're going to do one here. Maybe let's call it September. You know, you need to do 12, you know, you need to do 1 or 2 units per month, whatever it was. And we're going to look at September. And what are we going to do the first week, second week, third week, and fourth week? I bet you Colleen has every week, farmer's market, farmer's market, farmer's market, farmer's market. Maybe she does open house, open house, open house, open house. What else are you going to do every week for the month of September to get you toward your goals?
And a perfect example for training, you're attending Ignite. Boom, 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 boom.
That's in there. Boom, boom, boom. You know, it's all morning. But it's these specific training, these specific exercises are, you do them and then you have them and then now you act on them. So what would you need to achieve to make this, you know, to make this big life possible? What other things would you, does everybody have their sort of thing filled out?
So why don't we do some shout out or put in the chat, you know, what are some brainstorming activities on a weekly basis that you would do to get yourself to your goal, whatever that goal is. So Colleen's example was to attend a farmer's market. My example was to attend open houses. What are some other activities that you would do? You know, simple enough that call our sphere. Well, you'd break it down to how many phone calls do I have to make to my sphere to find one lead, to get to one appointment, to get to one contract signed.
We have script practice.
Volunteer in the community.
Okay.
Yeah, volunteering, and
Here.
networking with the community people. Yep.
Volunteering, networking, doing scripts so you know your words so you can listen better. And what else? What other things? I mean, again, there's 80 million things. It's a lot of stuff
Yep.
on top of pizza. What else is there that you do to get new business?
Facebook. Staying present on Facebook.
Social media.
Yeah.
What else? Let's hear some kind of cool other things that I know some stuff, but I want you guys to come to it. What are the things that you're going to put yourself in front of people?
We've got walk the neighborhood.
Door
Door
knocking.
knocking. Yep. Walking your neighborhood with your pet, your dog every day, introducing yourself to the neighbors that you don't already know by saying, just yelling out or giving them a wave, getting them familiar with you. Yep.
Talk to everyone. I like it.
Wear your KW apparel out in public.
Like it. Brand recognition. Host something at first time home buyer seminars, wear your name
Yeah.
tag.
Yeah.
Introductions in the area of open houses.
Yeah, what about your neighbors? Right? Your neighbors should know that you're in real estate.
Right.
Mhm. All right, so how about going to the gym?
Yep.
How about your bowling league
Or join a bowling league if you're interested in it.
or start a bowling league
Right.
or church? Have a group after church, a business to business thing at church at 1 o'clock, because business people are at church or wherever you hang, what else? Some other ideas, join a committee in your town, what do you call it? The little recreation department or the little league thing, and what
Yeah.
else?
Yeah, what about your schools, your kids' schools, right? Get involved, sports teams,
Yep. Volunteer to help. the
Chamber of
Chamber of
school.
commerce, yeah.
Business to business group, Rotary. There's a lot of ideas, PTA, whatever your thing is. My thing's not PTA. My kids aren't in school. Do your activity where you are, right? If you're social media and that's your world, that's where you live. Some people never go on it and that don't bother with it. So what we're trying to figure out on your annual goal, your monthly goal, and your weekly goal, what are per week, what are like 5 things or 3 things that you're going to do every week to make sure you're rolling that rock forward. So if you have your 411 action goal worksheet, if you really look at it sort of sideways, it's really a calendar. What am I going to do Monday? Blink, Ignite. What am I going to do after Ignite in the afternoon? After lunch, I'm going to do this. What are we doing every day? So this is where you need to come to your own thinking process. In a little bit in the beginning, it's a little bit of sort of what's best for me. You know, some people love door knocking. They can't wait to get up on Saturday morning and go door knocking. Some people don't like that because they feel like people think they're stealing their Amazon packages. And I've had that in my office too. Agents, they just won't do it because people think that, you know, so.
So, right. So now let's put this into practice. If
Yep.
we decide an activity, and it might be door knocking on Mondays or on Saturdays, then door knocking would go in as one of our lines on a weekly activity. Then we're going to take that weekly activity and then we're going to put it into our calendar on Saturdays and time block that Saturday from, 10 to 11 or 10 to 12 or 9 to 11, whatever the case may be. Now you've taken the exercise of the 411 of the goals to weekly activities, and now you've moved them over into your calendar, and now you're actually going to do them, and that's accountability. That's what this tool is all about. It's to help you hold you accountable, and it's a plan to go over for the next 4 weeks, and you're going to adjust it week to week. So if I miss a Saturday door knocking, and my goal was to do that for 1 hour, well, the next following Saturday, I need to do door knocking for 2 hours to make up for the hour. So it's holding you accountable to what your objective and what your goal was when you set it in the very beginning. And you'll measure these and understand these activities. If you're not getting results from them, guess what? Try something else now.
Right.
If you are getting results, continue.
Do twice as much.
Yeah. And think of the 80-20 rule right there. You're trying to identify the 20% that you should be doing, and you're going to use a little trial and error. You might think door knocking is the best thing for you, and it might very well be, or you might think something else is working for you and it may run its course, and now you've door knocked your whole neighborhood. Well, okay, I'm not going to do that every week and bug these people. Maybe I'll revisit this once or twice a year and just door knock my neighborhood once or twice a year.
Yeah. I think this really comes down to the high level and the focus that you have on your day-to-day activities.
Right.
You can, and again, we don't want you just running around being busy. We want you doing things that work best for you. So you need to do a little searching in your soul as to what I think is the best move for me. You might work you might have another job, or you might work in an area where there's an opportunity to buzz around to other people in the complex. So the point of it is your calendar has to mirror your 411 action goal worksheet. And you have to time block, and then you are in charge of yourself to know that you're doing it. You have everything in we talk about this really in the very, very beginning of Ignite. You need to make sure that you have everything in your calendar, all your kids stuff, all your doctor's appointments. And as you start filling that calendar with your work things, when you have an appointment to get your, to get your hair done, you're not going to set it up in the morning because you've got lead gen, you got door knocking, you got Facebook, you're doing your stuff. So as you move forward in your business, your calendar and your decisions are going to dictate what other things happen in your life. Yes, stuff happens with the kids and whatever, but if there's an opportunity to have, you have to make an appointment for the dentist for one of your kids, don't do it on a 9:30 because that's your lead gen time. Get it in the afternoon. You know what I'm saying? Just you take control of your calendar and prioritize these activities, and you will get to your goal faster and less painful.
So this is a perfect exercise. If you take the analogy of a 9-to-5 job, you show up at 9, your boss gives you your task, do all these things, you figure some things out on your own. This is a tool to keep you straight, that you are doing the activities that are going to get you to your real estate goal. And obviously scheduling and working around your personal life, your other obligations, and so on.
Right. And if you need to get, and then there's another exercise, which I don't think is part of this program, maybe, I don't know, Roger, if you need 27 closings in a year, how many appointments do you need?
So I 2 per closing. So you'd multiply 2 times 27 would tell you how many appointments you have to get. And then you might want to say, well, how many appointments do I have to get to, or how many leads do I have to find to get to 2 appointments? And that number would be 5. And then you're working yourself backwards.
A lot of
Again,
reverse.
yeah, the reverse engineering it. And then how many two-way conversations do I have to find 1 lead, which that number is 12, or somewhere between 12 and 16 on average. So that just simply says, if I was breaking this down, I'd say, how many conversations, two-way conversations do I have to have? And those conversations can be over the phone, can be through text, can be through instant message, can be email, can be face-to-face. And I'm counting and tracking those because I know that statistically, that if I have 12 interactions with 12 people and I'm a licensed real estate agent and I'm allowing and letting people know that through other means, as well as Facebook, just through conversation, through letters introducing myself and, hey, I'm starting my new real estate career. I know statistically, and this is all in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book and the other book on the one thing, all this stuff's there. Those are the models that we use that will suggest that 12 conversations identifies 1 lead. I need 5 leads to identify 2 appointments, meaning in those appointments are people that in those leads, because they're not all created equal. Just because it's a lead doesn't mean they're ready, willing, and able to buy. Somebody raises their hand and says, yeah, I was thinking about that. That's somebody that you want to convert into an appointment. And at that appointment, you're doing a listing presentation or a buyer's consultation, or you're just meeting with somebody trying to qualify them to see if they're going to be one of the 2 or invest in real estate. And that's where the conversion rate comes in. So 2 appointments, they're all not going to be ready, willing, and able. For whatever reason, they might want to work with somebody else, doesn't matter. But 2 appointments will get you to 1 contract. If you know what you're doing, if you say what you say, if you have some sort of understanding or internalized a script. And again, going all the way back to scripts, that's just that track of that conversation to keep it on track to get to what you are looking for, which is a signed contract or a yes or a no. Do you want to work together or not?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with a no. We're wishing and hoping for the yes. And if we build value and demonstrate competency and capability and reassurance and trust and rapport, you know, you're gonna hear more yeses than nos, hopefully.
All right, guys. So do we feel confident in filling out our 411? Let's see what we have in the chat or raise our hand. How are we on this? How are we doing? Questions? Remember, all questions are good.
Who feels lost, if anything? No one?
Nope, let's give them time. Who feels lost? Heather says not lost, but overwhelmed, which is
Okay. So
normal.
yeah, who's feeling overwhelmed
Or Heather, how do you mean overwhelmed? If you
Well, right now I'm working 2 other jobs plus trying to learn all the realty stuff. So that's part of it. And then there's just so many pieces to learn with Keller Williams, the different systems and learning how to write offers, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
all
learning
right,
the
but you
language?
don't need to know any of that until you have people.
Right.
Right. So yes, we have all kinds of training and videos and how do we write up offers and the whole 9, but let's get out and talk to people. Organizing a new schedule that this is my own to do is very tough. Yeah, it's tough when you have, again, find what works for you. The easiest way, the most effective, cheapest return on your investment is your free, well, it's not free, but your phone and your face and your voice. So at the very least, the very, very least, before you try to do a million things, make sure that you understand your scripts and you're talking to as many people that you know first. Would you agree, Roger? If we had to say one or two or three things, break it, let's chunk it right down.
Yeah. So, I mean, universally, we find this, especially in the launch program, that everybody feels overwhelmed in the beginning. And if you weren't or not feeling overwhelmed, I think there was something wrong with you in a sense, because there is a lot of information to take in. This specific tool is there to break it down into incremental activities so that you know you're working towards your goal. So if you just take the statement that was said, I'm overwhelmed by the trainings and this, that, and the other thing. Okay, if you do nothing else, your one thing might be right now, let me get my base knowledge information in the question you'd be asking. What's the best trainings I should be taking right now? And that would go into your 411. For you, for this example, is Ignite right now. You're doing the first step. Advanced, after you finish Ignite and kind of digest and internalize a little bit of that information, you might take Ignite or certain portions of Ignite over again.
You will.
You know, and then you might be ready for taking Bold, which is kind of like that college version of Ignite, which is just a little more accelerated. It's the same information, but it's just a little more advanced. So using your 411 in this example is go ahead and put every week, I'm going to do one training a week and then identify those trainings. And you can use your coach to help you identify trainings, your team leader, what trainings, or a mentor in the office. What were the best trainings that you guys took? And put that out on your mastermind group. Hey, I'm a new agent. What's the best training for a new agent? What should I be taking? They're all going to say Ignite, of course, excluding Ignite because I'm already taking Ignite, you know, or what's the first action step I should do? What would you have done different? Take an agent out for breakfast or lunch or coffee and pick their brain and use that model. You know, for example, Colleen could attest to this, that she felt the same way, right, Colleen?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't know where to start when you're beginning. It's like, okay, I get it. I have to do all this stuff, but what do I do first? And I think once you kind of get a sense of what that first thing is that is good for you, then you get rolling, you know? So if you're not a phone call kind of person, but you're on social media, it's sending messages to people through Messenger.
Private message.
That, you know, hey, how are you? Just wanted to check in. I miss you, blah, blah, blah. And it's just taking that one step,
right?
You know, where you're comfortable first.
And you working a full-time job, right?
Yeah, I was.
And what was one of your first goals that you set? Was when am I going to quit that job? What do I need to do to be able to quit that job? So she ascertained a financial number. I have to have, for example, maybe, and you can share it with us if you want. I have to have $20,000 in commission checks that I banked so that I know that I have the next 6 months of expenses paid, so that I cannot make another dime, but I'll still be able to pay my bills. That's an example of setting a goal here. So your goal would be to save $2,000 a month. Break it down into the weekly. How much do I got to save weekly to get to that goal?
Yeah, my goal was to have 6 months of my expenses in the bank so that I knew that I had 6 months, because I'm married, so my husband basically takes care of most of it. But, you know, just making sure that I would be okay if I didn't have a closing 6 months after my first one. And then after that, it was figuring out how much time I was going to put aside to work towards that goal. So if I was working 30, 40 hours a week, how much of it was I going to spend into my real estate business? And so I would put 20 hours a week aside and then break that down daily. So, you know, it's just breaking it down and making it smaller. It's doing the one thing at a time until you figure out what your one thing really is.
Well said.
I agree with that 100%. And, you know, there is a list. I was just looking forward. It was like, what's new advice that I'll find it before we're done. You know, advice for new agents. and we asked, it was a survey that was done that said, and maybe somebody else has it, what I wish I had done my first year that I did not do, and I'll try to find it. And it was exactly some of the things that we're talking about. It's, don't be a secret agent. If you have to do one thing, just find your thing and do it, and keep everything that we're saying. So I'll see if I can't find that thing. So yeah, so let's, so don't lose focus. Don't worry, remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. And again, running your own business is not, a lot of people have not done this. They think everybody who has a business, whether they're doing real estate or they're an attorney or they selling tires or pizza, are doing the exact same thing. They're always working on new business. We need new sandwiches. We need the new kind of salads, always working on new customers at the same time selling their tires and so forth. So this is another reason why it feels a little weird, is because, you've just never done it in many cases. So, just remember why you're doing it, really go way back and say, why did I get my real estate license? Why did I want to do that? And then remember why you're here, and, oops. So, yeah, so let's, again, we're not going to lose, we're just going to keep moving and identify what works, what doesn't. Who are your people? Who are the people that you're most likely to get a deal with? And it's usually people that And, Colleen said, go on Facebook and, just message people and, hey, how's it going? And that's okay. Don't think, oh, they're going to think I'm up to something. If some friend of yours had started a flower shop and they said, hey, how you doing? Then you're going to say, hey, what's going on? I guess I just opened a flower shop. Do you know anybody? So don't let your limiting back history stuff impede you from moving forward. So here's the reality. Really the day-to-day life of a successful real estate agent is very repetitive. They know their routine, procedures, the results they need to live, the life they want. That's often enough to make them love the grind, right? There are many of you who, once you start seeing your work pay off, you'll love the grind for sure. You'll enjoy honing your systems and skills to complete the highest level. So, you just want to affirm what you're doing. And accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. What do you guys think of that? Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that is if you don't take personal accountability or don't have somebody help you be accountable for, achieving the goals that you're setting, or helping you get into a pattern of being self-accountable, then, you slack off for an afternoon, you decide you're gonna, call 5 people instead of 10, or you're just not feeling the right energy that day. So you're like, I'm just going to chill and, go with my own flow, whatever. That's not going to help you reach your goals.
Exactly, Martin. Who else has some comment on that?
I think we do this every day too. We hold our kids accountable. We hold our friends accountable. Somebody misses an appointment or doesn't call you back. I mean, somebody's holding you accountable. And if you're not holding yourself accountable and relying on others to hold you accountable, you're leaving your destiny up to others, and you shouldn't.
Right. So I guess the point, the moral of the story is chunk it down to a very repetitive plan. And when going back to the 411, we're talking about what we're going to do every week. We're going to do our training. We're going to do our lead generating before we do anything else. before we do any training, well, you have to do Ignite, but the next thing is you're going to be doing your lead generating, meaning talking to more and more people. That's to be done prior to anything else, and get that right on your calendar. And then as you get around maybe September 27th or the 28th, get a new piece of paper out, another 411, and now that's going to be October, and you're going to decide, do I put that same, now Ignite will be gone, so you're going to fill that space with something else or move things up however you want to do it, but you want to have the same thing for October.
So, right.
Correct?
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, if you think of Ignite from 9 to 12, what are we doing? We're learning about lead generation, building a database, and how to do these things. We're learning the scripts and practicing the scripts. We're finding a script partner to do that, for 10 or 15 minutes on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Once you're not doing that, what are you going to fill that void in with? That will be the lead generation. You're always going to be practicing scripts. You're always going to be adding to your database. You're always going to be lead generation. And that's going to the 80-20 rule. That's the 20%. If you just do those activities alone, you'll have success. And then you just add layers of new knowledge, new technology, and leverage going forward. So if you do one thing every day, lead generate. Who did I talk to? Who can I talk to? And what can I say to them? And what's the reason for my call? And just go with it. Do 10 of those a day, 20 of those a day. And if you're doing that, you're doing 50 a week or 80 a week. So we use the example in Ignite, the 10-4. 10 contacts added to your database, 10 two-way conversations, 10 handwritten notes to those people you just had those conversations with. And then for understanding in the marketplace and the inventory, preview 10 homes a week through open houses, or just call the agents up and say, hey, you have a showing this week. I can piggyback on, walk through for 5 minutes before or after.
Right.
And if you just did all that, you're gonna get into transactions.
Right. How are people doing with scripts? We're actually running a bit ahead of schedule. How are people doing with scripts? Or do we want to share our 411s with each other? Does anybody want to offer that? Anybody have a 411 that they want to show people what they're going to do?
Offer. I'm a visual person. I like to see things in front of me. So I'm still old school. I like to have the old calendar in front of me. And I think if I take my calendar and I write it down every day, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's another way of reminding myself when I walk past it every time, to get it in there and not forget. It's how you keep track of everything else going on in the household.
Yeah.
So writing it down, getting the old school calendars, or even getting a whiteboard. You get the monthly whiteboards and you can set it up in your office and write in your monthly tasks or your weekly or daily tasks. So that's how I keep on track.
I like that, Nellie. And that's a best practice for you. And so and that's a great tip for people. Not everybody likes their little calendar on their phone. Some people, like their little calendar in their book, that one. The point of the exercise is get it in your calendar. You can have your big giant, your big goals. And then you know what you need to do. That's what you think. I want to make 500 grand, and then I have to probably sell about 50, more than that, right? New England, you can do that in California quick, or in Manhattan, but not so much here. So you have your big goal, and let's chunk it all the way down to what am I doing next Tuesday? Every market center has a pretty extensive training calendar. We spend hours putting together that training calendar. And like Roger said, maybe you don't need to go to the wealth building one now. let's pick the things that are most important for you right now, and let's get them on the calendar. So what's another best practice? We have our own calendar, we have the whiteboard. Who else has had some success with this, getting things on their calendar? And where are you gonna put, but at the end of this, we're gonna have action items. And where are you gonna put your 411? Where is that gonna live in your world?
I use sticky notes to make time blocks, and then I don't allow myself to go on to the next time block until I've reached my goal of 30 minutes of script practicing or 1 hour of lead generation.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome, Heather.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Right. Who
Yeah,
else?
you earn the right to move on, right? If you accomplish your goal, you move to the next goal. If you don't accomplish your goal, keep working until you get there.
Love it. What other best practices do we have from the group? Let's hear it.
How will you keep yourself accountable? That's the question. What tool will you use? Who will hold you accountable or help you hold? So sharing your goals with your significant other would be a good idea. Let them know what your goals are.
Tell your kids what your goals are.
Yeah.
Hey, if I sell this many houses, we'll go, you know, the funny sound in the back, you know, put your kids in it, or your husband, or whoever your life is. Hey, if I can do this, let's go, we're gonna rent a Airbnb down in wherever. And then when the kids go, where you going? You say, hey, I'm going to work so we can rent that Airbnb with the pool and the thing. And so, you know, I guess the moral of the story is you guys are, if it helps and it can help, and this is what coaching is for, accountability. We want to make sure that everybody in our group, I know for me, I want to see what they have on their calendar and where is everyone. Even the doctor will say, you know, hey, you got to go for a walk every day or whatever. Oh, I just don't get to it. Well, is it on your calendar? Well, of course, if it's not, then you're not going to do it. So we'll, you know, we can go on and on about this. So let's have, you know, anybody else, let's hear some feedback and some ahas on our recap here. And then we'll move to a couple more questions and we'll probably let you out of here early.
I think one thing for me personally, anyway, on the accountability front, this is not really an aha, it's just another thought along the last conversation, is sometimes it's important to remind yourself that making the lists and staying organized and cleaning up your calendar and all that stuff is not actually doing the work.
Right.
You can spend a lot of time doing that. But when it comes to the actual items on your 411 or on your calendar, it's, for me personally, it's crucial that all your tools and all your resources are really well organized so that when you sit down to do the work, what you're calling work is not actually digging around or going to find
Color
materials.
coding and yeah.
It's got to all be right there so that when you're working, you're working.
So would you say the night before, at the end of day, have everything ready for tomorrow? So you're not looking at people's numbers and who am I going to call? At the end of the day, there's always the DTD2 letters. Call those people. Yeah, I don't know. I won't get into that whole class, but if you know, the DTD2 does give some way of coordinating who you want to call, because some people just don't know who to call. So I like that, Scott. What's another best practice in ahas here for this?
So I like that somebody mentioned, obviously, putting right into your 411 script practicing for 15 or 30 minutes a day consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, learning how to script practice is the first lesson. And that was in one of the programs, you know, prior to this one.
Yeah.
You know, read it 3 times silently, then read it 3 times out loud, then read it 3 more times as quick as you can. And, you know, and then, you know, try to internalize that. And if you're practicing that going back and forth with somebody, over the course of a couple of weeks, doing it on a daily basis, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 days a week, measure the results at the end of 3 weeks and ask yourself, I remember what I sounded like because you recorded that event, and then record yourself doing it well, and then just listen to the difference. And that'll help you moving forward.
That's great, Roger. I remember maybe not last, I think that was somebody on last Ignite that they recorded themselves. It was a gentleman, I forget. And he used to love to record his scripting and listen back. And after a couple times, he goes, I sound okay. It was more like he needed to reassure. He thought he sounded like he was bumbling along, but he really wasn't after a couple times. So it does not take long to get those internal. So, I think, let's put it in there. And if you have a market center that has a script and daily scripts and role play, jump on it. If not, start one. Find a friend in the office that's new. Hey, you want to do some scripts and role play with me? Let's, find an accountability person that wants to do that with you. So let's ask, anybody else have any comment or ahas? And we'll just wrap it up here a little bit. Roger, I feel like we're way early.
We are. Well, I mean, generally speaking, we could go into groups and do a script practice, or certainly, I mean, the design of Ignite is to really actually have about an hour and a half or 2 hours at the most of content, and then go off and do, start putting what we're learning into practice. In other words, if it's script practice, we'll take this extra half hour, 45 minutes to script practice. We can go into groups, or even better, go out and make a few care calls to your database or to your friends and introduce yourself. Let them know you're doing real estate, by using the Ford conversation and say, asking them how's work going, and that will circle the conversation around to, oh, what have you been up to? And you go, hey,
Always.
funny you should ask.
I'm telling you, people want to know about real estate right now. There's never been a time people were not, there was more interest in real estate. It's an extremely important topic. Remember, you're part of a big operation, most of us in Keller Williams. So if you don't know something, you say, you know what, I'm not quite sure of that. Let me check with a couple of people on my team and I'll get back to you. And then, obviously do that. So let's look at some ahas to achievement. And let's ask the group, how has your thinking changed? What ideas or mindsets were new to you? I'm going to take some notes. How has your thinking changed? Let's get some feedback.
I'll go. My name's Yasmin. Not that anything's changed. I think the biggest aha for me is always remembering that back to basics is what works. Keeping it simple and being consistent will bring you the results. Easier said than done, but it's just really nice to hear that today.
Yeah. So that sunk with you a little bit, a reminder that back to basics, right down to the small activity items is really going to move you forward. And like Scott says, don't get ready to start thinking about getting ready to do something. Be ready and start doing it at 9 o'clock. Who else has had their thinking changed, and what ideas or mindsets were new? Thank you, Yasmin.
Nelly. My sister has been in real estate for quite a while, and I never knew how much work really goes into it, even down to the math, which math has never been my strong suit. But I think the whole idea of when you start having organization in, like you said, Excel, spreadsheet, or whatever type of program you want to use to keep track of your expenses during the year and keep track of where the taxes and the, where your money is going and where you're spending it and where you're getting it from. That from the beginning for me makes a lot of sense, instead of waiting till the end of the year and now you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's something I need to work on. Never been one for the books. So we'll have to start working on that and figuring that out better, and not just leave it up to the hubby.
No, it's your business.
Yes, ma'am.
right? So we're gonna make sure that you're in charge, right? One more, how has your thinking changed? Thanks, Nellie. Or what ideas or mindsets were new?
For me, it's agreeing with what Nellie said about the math and all the expenses and all that stuff that goes into it. I mean, I am like pretty much a brand new realtor, and I came into the business like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go out there and I'm gonna sell houses, I'm gonna make money. But today in class, I'm realizing, darn, in order to make the money I want to make, I gotta sell like 50,000 houses. So
Yeah.
it's just the reality of how much work and how much you have to really be disciplined and, like you say, follow the guidelines in order to help you achieve your goals.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's interesting, both the expense stuff. A lot of people don't even realize it. And it's important as newer agents, don't do what everybody else did and forget about all that stuff. And then your tax accountant says, give me all your expenses. And you say, I don't know. I had MLS dues. We have a lot more than $348 in expenses, whatever everybody's dues are. All right, what do you feel differently about today? What was meaningful to you?
I think the math helped. I mean, putting it down on paper, what the goal would be as far as, you know, what you would need to sell per year or per month. I think it just helps focus.
Yep, probably something you've never done, you've never thought of. Right.
Right.
And who else? What has you feel? Who has feels differently about something?
Honestly, just running through the 411 one more time, that's probably the 10th time that we've been through it. Some of us, I have, but it feels like it's at a point now where I could do it without a reference. I could just sit down and do a 411. So it's nice to just go through it like everything in real estate. It's like there's 100 simple things that you need to do. Just nice to, you know, one by one, be getting them to a point where it's more intuitive than referential.
Right. And that's what happens with scripts and everything. It becomes intuitive. And that 411, once you really get the, like, you know, it does take a couple of times to do it. And that's why if you do it every month, all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, I get it. Oh, yeah, I'm not. But don't give up on things too early. Just as a side note on the 411, you know, yeah, you know, farmers markets are concentrated things and church can be, so find the most concentrated thing that you can find and kind of dig in there. So how are your behaviors going to be different as we move forward? What actions will you take going forward? I want to hear some action items.
Definitely stepping out of my comfort zone and setting higher goals.
Okay, so you're going to set some high goals. Way back, slide number 2. Let's make some big goals, you know, and let's go for it. It's better to have big goals than and not get there quite, but than having small goals and probably not get there quite either. And I can tell you, I did that. I had a coach when I was in production and I wanted to sell whatever, so many per year. And he said, I want you to jump that up. That's not, I want you to jump it up. I'm like, you know, and he goes, so what? If you don't, let's just see what happens. And I didn't get there, but I got definitely farther than I would have had I not pushed that goal. And so don't be afraid of that. Some people get a little bummed out if they don't make it somewhere. If you know, you try to jump, everybody wants to run faster and jump higher and all of that. And it's okay. It takes a little while to actually get there. So that's kind of a cool one. So who else has what, you know, behaviors, specific action items are you going to do? I want to hear a good number of them. We got a good size group here. Actions.
I'm definitely gonna go after my contacts and finish in command that I haven't done. I always keep putting it aside. Oh, I'll do tomorrow, and it has been going on for quite a while. So I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna start doing this week definitely find my lead, at least one I need it, because I feel always nervous every time I try to reach to somebody. So that's my own goal for this week.
And let me ask you, Lourdes, you're gonna add people to your database. When is that gonna go on your calendar?
Well, I'm gonna start it today, but probably will end by Saturday on Sunday, because it's just a to-do list. So as I don't have the complete for each person, so it's gonna take me a while to finish.
Right, so let's make sure we get it on the calendar. Not when you complete it, when you're gonna start it. Is it today at 2 o'clock?
Probably by evening, because today I'm probably gonna meet with someone that I'm gonna have a buyer. I'm gonna help her out. So that's why I'm gonna be busy this in the beginning of the afternoon.
All right,
And that's why.
I like it. Don't be afraid. You said I'm nervous about something. Just go for it. You'll be okay.
Thank you.
I just,
Lourdes and I started scripting yesterday.
Oh,
over the
good.
phone. So that's a goal that we're gonna try to do every day.
and what time? What
10
day?
minutes.
What time of the day are you doing that on your calendar?
We're gonna.
Well, yesterday was at 3, but probably today will be before or later on.
All right, let's get a time. This is
Right.
how, this is what we're talking about. Chunk it right down to the time.
Let's set that appointment, girls.
Set that appointment.
Yeah.
All
What
right,
time
who
works
else?
best for the both of you?
I want some more
Exactly, that's
action
what we did
items.
yesterday, yeah.
Who
Well,
else?
I can do it if she can. I could do it after this class.
Are you guys
That's
figure it out?
perfect. That's perfect.
That's perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Who else? Action items.
I think I might, for myself, maybe do a monthly newsletter to family and friends and old contacts, just to tell them what's been going on in my family and what I've been up to myself. And I think that's also a good way of almost having a journal of what you've been doing through the year. So when you get to the end of the year, you've got some backlog to tell you what you've been up to, but it also tells people what you've been up to personally and business-wise without making it sound too businessy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And you're gonna
Maybe
do that-
I think that's what I would like to do. I see a lot of people do it over Christmas time. They'll send out a little, what I've been up to this year, and I think that for me is going to be a little new thing to try.
And is that gonna go on your 411?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's see. I'll see you. I'll find you. I'm gonna look at your calendar. All right, one more action items. Couple more. Let's hear it.
Be more efficient with my time, work better on the time blocking and make sure that everything is set aside for me to do. I think that's pretty huge for me, is just actually becoming, a little bit more efficient with my time.
And I think to piggyback off of that, he was mentioning the time, specifically being productive versus being busy is one of my biggest, not hurdle, but something that like I would embrace, for example, being a multitasker, when that's something that maybe I can work on one task at a time and do that very well.
Absolutely. Multitasking should be stricken from the English language.
Yeah.
It's very inefficient. And guess what? You're working for free right now until you have a closing. So let's make sure we are being very, very, very purposeful. We're all having an entrepreneurial spirit, which is all why you're in real estate. But you have to be purposeful with your decision making, right? I'm just looking at the chat here. We're gonna have some. We're gonna join the PTO at her son or someone's son's and daughter's school, looking into having a stand at the farmers market. And wearing your clothes. That'll your badge speaks. Do not go anywhere without that badge on. I know it's quirky and it's kind of weird, but people want to know about real estate. And remember, forget that you always forget your business cards at home when you talk about real estate, so that you can go, you know what, don't have my bag with me with my cards. Let me grab your number. Okay, because it's your job to call them, not their job to call you. All right, let's do a little bit. What tools, models, or systems will you definitely use to get your actions underway? The 411, I like that, Heather. Let's get that thing nailed down. What else? Tools, models, or systems?
Yeah, I like the sticky note idea, and maybe like getting a whiteboard and putting maybe like 5 different categories up there, like ignite, calls, you know, whatever you can put it, and then just in each of those 5 categories, and just kind of prioritizing them for your day, and then just setting the timer on my phone, say, okay, I've got, you know, 30 minutes to do number 2, which is script practice. Set my timer and go until that timer goes off.
I love that timer idea. That's perfect. You know, this whole thing is really about setting goals and then taking those goals and putting them into play, and not just being busy, actually being purposeful with what you're doing. And you don't have to do 11 million things. You just have to do these few things every day that are going to move that rock forward. What other tools, models, or systems might work for people?
I'm going to try to tackle smart plans. I find it overwhelming. But I think I want to sit down and really try to get some going for ways to just keep in touch
with people.
With, my database, yeah.
Okay, so using smart plans that go into effect after you've spoken to someone?
Yeah, or just a, you know, holiday one, getting holiday one set up. I'm not sure. That's why I find it overwhelming.
Right. So that's a good one.
Some form of contact that will automatically
get some passive stuff going, so that things are running while you're, and that's an important thing. And that is simply a system, and that is really in command. So getting into, I would suggest, as we've been talking here, put it on your calendar for a little half-hour research on smart plans, so you're not going down a rabbit hole in command. You know, let's find 3 that work. We're moving into the holiday. Just as a quick tip, Nick Baldwin has a great Halloween one. It's a smart plan. It's all text. No, I think there might be some emails that says automated. You can send it to 500 people at once. And it just says, Happy Halloween. Hope you don't eat too much candy or something. And then it mathematically delays it, whatever, 21 days. Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you're having with, you know, whatever. Hope you're seeing people or whatever. What's for dessert? And then it mathematically does it again, I think 20 something days later. Happy holidays, you know, something like that. And then it does 6 days later. Happy New Year. Let's hope 2022 is better than 2020 and 2021. So do a search for Nick Baldwin and find that one to start. We did one last year, and I say this all the time, the Halloween one. I got so many responses. It was crazy. You know, hey, that's funny. You know, nobody ever says happy, you know, it's just a silly thing that people do, even if you don't have little ones, you know. Right. House hunting is just as fun as haunted houses. So yeah, let's get a little smart plan going. So you, oh, I see a little smart plan tutorial in the chat. So everybody grab that. All right. I like all your ideas. I like your focus. My instruction to you guys is today, complete your 411. Okay. And then get your calendar out. And like Martin said, get it on there and put it in first time period. So you're not spending 9 hours doing some, you know, newsletter, you know, let's make sure we're making good use of our time, because as we know, time is money. So as a group, there's a lot of you here. Let's make sure we already kind of know our big goal, and we kind of know how to do math and how much we have to do every month. And let's chunk it down to weekly, daily activities. Put lunch, make sure you take lunch, that's all in there. And before you know it, you'll be doing like a lot of the really high level agents do. And that is only a few things, but you do it at an extremely high level. And that's what you'll come to find. So what else do we have? Anything else? So like anybody else, any last thoughts?
I have like more of a question.
Yeah.
Might be a bit on and off topic. Do you think purchasing lead generation for new agents is a good idea?
Let's let the group answer that. I have my thoughts. What do you guys think?
I don't think so, because we have our leads right in our phones. All the people we know are our leads. So I wouldn't purchase.
Anybody else? Let's hear it. Let's mastermind.
So I can use some experience. I've had some clients do that unbeknownst to me. And for the most part, simply the only thing, they don't even know how to convert that lead yet. They don't know any scripts to convert that lead into an appointment. So you could be just throwing good money after bad. If you don't understand your scripts yet, if you don't even understand how to take an offer, you don't even understand what a lead really is, you don't understand how to qualify a lead, you're just putting the cart before the horse. That would be something to maybe consider a year or two down the road, in my opinion, because you need to learn your skills first, and the skills are your scripts.
Isabel, say your statement again.
All of my leads are in my phone. All your contacts are your leads. That's where you should start.
Right. Why chase people? This isn't a dating service. Why chase people that you don't even know if they're really available or whatever? All your leads right now are in your phone. And everybody will either buy, 99% of people will either buy or sell something, or they know someone who will buy or sell something, or rent or invest. And again, you may connect with somebody that may not do anything for 3 years because they're waiting for their kids to graduate. But won't it be great to have them sitting there in 3 years? You don't have to hustle around looking for them. So let's remember, this real estate is a marathon. It's not a 2K. Yes, you do some sprints and you get some things going right away. But let's also make sure that we have long-term things marinating, because that'll be wonderful in 3 years when they go, hey, those kids graduated finally. We want to get out of here and get out of this big house. And you barely have to do a report. You just go over with paperwork. So what else? Thank you, Carol. Did you have a second question? You all set? Oh,
yeah, I'm all set. Thank you. I just wanted.
How about, what do you think? Do you want to buy leads, or, you're an independent contractor, you spend your money, you do whatever, but what are your thoughts?
Well, maybe I'm just a little overwhelmed with my spare. It's like, to me, it's just not big enough. And the people that are like in my contacts, it's like people I know who are not doing anything real estate wise right now. So that was just another thought, another option that I explored. But it's like, you said that these people that I know may not be doing anything, but they may know somebody who's doing something.
Right.
And they're not going to think of you until you mention, hey, by the way, and when obviously just a little best practice, little experience tip, when you're calling your sphere, say, hey, I know you're busy and I've got to run. I've got a Zoom call in about 10 minutes, but I just want to catch up. How are things going? I see the kids are back in school, and what's going on? How's work at the bank? Oh yeah, good. How are you? Oh my God, well, I started during COVID. I got my, I'm doing real estate. I'm loving it. And let's catch up later. Oh, and then hey, if you know anybody, I'd love to help them. Don't ask for business ever, only offer to help people. Right? Because then they'll go, oh, all right, who do I know that she can help? And it just will be in their head. It'll be hardwired a little bit. So I like that. I like that. So anybody else? One last action item on their 411 or questions? And then we aren't getting up so early as I thought. What else? Smart plans. So on the screen, we always have the good old, set your career on fire. You want to try to talk to 10 people every day. Remember, on your 411, have conversations, buzzing around, Dunkin' Donuts, Market Basket, weekends, handwritten notes. Do not underestimate the power of the handwritten note. If you talk to somebody and they say, yeah, we don't know what we're going to do, we're waiting for the kids to get out of school, you get yourself a handwritten note with your business card. Hey, just thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I'm so excited about my business. Let me know if you know anybody I can help. And then, as Roger said, you get into the real estate, you get into houses, set some time aside to make sure that you are looking at MLS in your market area every single day of the week. Because once that window opens and people start figuring out that you're a real estate agent, they're going to ask you stuff. Hey, what that house sell for over on Pine Street? What do you think of that one over there? You want to be at the ready. And right now the market is very easy to manage in terms of doing research. So let's make sure we get that done every day. So scripts, we've got lead generating, uncovering motivation, identify objections, closing deals, speak in terms the customer understands. Remember, we say a lot of lingo, MLS and GCIs and all these things. Make sure we're speaking in terms that the consumer understands, and we'll be building confidence. So the next piece is really doing script practices. We'll leave it up to the group. Roger, do you have anything you'd like to end with or mention or words of wisdom?
Tons of words of wisdom, I guess. But no, I mean, just take it one step at a time. Being overwhelmed is not unusual at this point, especially. You'll take Ignite again, probably in the future. And, just practice the scripts, find one that you like, adjust it to your vernacular, rewrite it the way you might write it. You might say it, you might not use language that somebody else might use. And then just put it into a note card or a flash card and just practice it over and over again. And then put it aside and have the conversation with your script partner, and it'll start to come out and you'll start to recognize it. It will flow like a conversation, because it's a simple technique. Forward conversation is friends and family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. And asking open-ended questions. What's going on in your life? How's things?
Yeah, remember, these people.
Right, you're familiar.
Cold calling, people. So let's make sure that we're doing these activities. And I think we've ground it down that you have to do it every day and figure out what works for you and get it on your calendar. Set time aside to do it, and time on task over time, you will get the business you need. You can walk up the stairs, or you can run up the stairs, right? So, and let's find out what works for everyone. My suggestion as we kind of close out, let's make sure that we're reviewing our scripts, find a script partner. So get your 411 done today and get it in your calendar. Don't prepare to get ready and color code and all this. Get it in your calendar, right? And then find a script partner. Make sure you print out your script book if you don't have one. Get that in front of you, have it in the car, have it everywhere. Make sure you're learning those words, and those calls become easier when you know your words. We all know that people sort of don't call because they kind of a little bit don't know what to say. And remember, they don't know, and you just do your best. And after a couple of calls, before you know it, you're off and running. And that's, as an experienced agent, in seeing people going through and getting better. And I see the numbers and their closings, and they're awesome. In the beginning, they were nervous and they just kind of went for it. Sometimes you just pull the Band-Aid and go for it. So that's sort of the parting thing. Let's just take everything we've learned today, put it somewhere and move forward. And tomorrow's class is it's a good one. It's about delivering your value proposition. In other words, it's how to talk about real estate without always asking for business. You're going to figure out what is your unique value proposition. What do you bring to the table for people? What is your unique thing that you do? So I think, be ready for that. So you've got a pretty busy afternoon coming. You've got to get your 411s going, but let's make sure that we're constantly working at a very efficient level. Time is money. Phones, you're already paying for them and all your kids, so you might as well use your phone and make phone calls. Like Isabel said, your leads are right in your phone. Let's call people and ask, offer to help. And who else do they know who's listing, interested in buying or selling or investment in property? You'd love to help them out. Any last words, and we'll let you hit the road.
So Deb, I'll stick around here if you want to come off share, in case anybody has any
Oh
questions.
yeah, why don't we do come off
Just
share?
to-
Good thinking.
Yeah.
Deb, I like that you said investment,
Oh yeah.
because that's something else that I'm going to say. Investment property. A lot of people want to do that.
And
Good idea.
when I said that, who do you know who wants to buy? I'm going to ask, this is a question. When I said, who
Right.
do you know who wants to buy or sell or invest in property?
Yeah.
Let me know. You know where that came from?
Well, my son wants to invest in properties. That's what he
No,
wants.
but I mean those words.
Oh, where did that come from?
Roger.
Say it again. Ask the question.
Who do you know who wants to buy or sell or invest in real estate today?
Is that Tom Ferry or?
It's bold.
Bold?
And it's a script. And as
yeah.
you can see, you guys didn't even know that was a script.
No.
That's because that's what I've learned over 100 years here in the business. You need to know what to say so that I can hear the answer. Hey, Nellie, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell or invest in real estate today? Then I'm hearing her answer instead of bumbling and being nervous. And
Right.
yeah, your son's looking to invest. Everybody, I'm telling you right now, is looking to invest in property. It's crazy nuts. You can buy an investment property and your tenants are going to pay twice as much as your mortgage sometimes. So that's a piece of the business that we kind of forget. And and you'll see as you move forward in your career, when interest rates are low, people are looking for investment, even the property values are high, the math works really well. So yeah, I appreciate everybody's participation. I love goals. I'm not the biggest math person in the world, so thank you, Roger, for spearheading all of that. And let's get out there and let's do what's going to work for us. And I guarantee I can see passion in everybody here. I can see that you all want to do well, and you will. Right. So I'm going to let you go. I'm Deb Hayes over at Keller Williams, debhayes@kw.com. If you ever want anything, see you later, Carol. See you later. Hey, Scott, is that a money tree behind you or is it bamboo?
Money does grow on trees.
He's on mute. You're on mute, Scott.
I'm not responsible for that, so I don't know what it is. No, I do actually, but I just don't remember the name of it. It's
Okay.
not a money tree, no.
Okay. Yeah. Everybody get a
And
money
it's-
tree. Those
it's
are
not,
cool.
It's not bamboo either.
Oh, geez. All right. I've just been looking at it, wondering if it was, because if you have a money tree, I'm telling you, everyone has them here. They can grow. I had a friend had her grandmother's and it was like up to the ceiling. It was pretty cool. So just side note, interesting, not important thing, but just I've been looking at it. All right, guys. So take care. Let us know if you need any help. Talk to your TLs, talk to your PCs, get your scripts going and make those calls and get your 411 done. I promise it's going to be it'll be good. All right. I'll let you guys go.
Thanks, Deb.
Thanks. Oh, you want to hang?
Yeah, I'll just
Roger,
hang in case anybody has any questions for the next 15 minutes.
Cool. All right, I'm still recording. All right, looks like beep, beep, beep. All right, I've got a call right at 12 that I have to prepare for, so I'm gonna dip out. Let me make you co-host.
Okay.
Where is he? Roger Moore. Stop video, make I'm gonna make you host.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy, you're like running the world now, Roger.
I got the control now, huh?
You have, and you've got some people. We'll see where you go. Thank you so much on helping and not helping. You really actually should be teaching the thing. And I thought we were doing another one, but you needed to reschedule on the 17th.
No, I'm gonna do that. I think Colleen needed to reschedule.
Oh, okay, gotcha. And that's going to be on open houses. That's fun.
Yep.
All right, awesome. All right, I'm
See you
gonna
then.
jump out. We'll see you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
All righty, see, we got 4 people. If you have any questions, feel free.